Welcome to the United Way 2020 Women's Forum. I'm Barbara Mikulski, former United States Senator from the great state of Maryland. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so sorry that I'm not with you today. Why? Because today will be powerful. I wish I could be there to see the impact that it will have. This forum is the work of the United Way's Women United. And besides organizing this great event today, this year they're celebrating 20 years of service and support to people in need. That's 20 years of doing good and bringing positive change to the lives of children and families across our region. You'll hear more today about their work, meet their members, learn about the people they help. I know you're going to be impressed, and I urge you to get to know them and join their ranks. Women United has a saying. It's one I really can get behind. When there is a need, women lead the way. You know, when I first arrived in the Senate in 1987, there was only one other woman, Nancy Kassebaum, a Republican from Kansas. Today, there are 26. I'm so proud of the role the women of the Senate have had in making change, not only at the macro level, but at that macaroni and cheese level. And I bet many of you are here today because, like me, you want to make a difference. But you know, together, we can make change. Let me tell you that one thing that really needs to change, the fact that so many people, so many women are hardworking, many at more than one job, but they can't make ends meet. They can't pay their bills. Many of them are only one planned bill away from financial ruin. In our great state and here in Greater Baltimore, this is unacceptable. Today, you'll hear from women who were in this dangerous predicament, from those who are standing up and stepping in to help them. And you'll learn what we can all do to make change for the better. There's no doubt there is a need, and I know you can help lead the way to change. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's kick off the Women's Forum 2020.
Oh my, she is such a powerful force, isn't she? Thank you so much, Senator Mikulski. I'm Patty Brown.
And I'm Sheila Murthy. And together we change lives.
Indeed, this is the purpose of the United Way, the mission of Women United. One of my earliest experiences of the power of the impact of the United Way was about 20 years ago, when I was visiting one of our United Way partners, my sister's place in Baltimore City, the longest serving women's day shelter and resource center for women and children operated by Catholic Charities. There I met this lovely young woman and her child, a toddler, bright eyes, a huge smile, just an amazingly happy little girl, full of wonder and excitement. But her mom, not so much. She looked very concerned, rather down. She and I struck up a conversation, and I asked her, how was it that she found my sister's place? She told me that she had just arrived in Baltimore the night before by bus from Philadelphia after making the clearly difficult decision to leave the father of her child, who was physically abusing her. She said that things got so bad that she had no choice but to run, and so she swooped up her child and got on the bus, not knowing what the next step would be. When arriving in Baltimore, she told the bus driver her predicament and asked for help. He pointed to a United Way sign that was posted in the station, a first call for help sign, or what we today refer to as 211. He said, call that number. She did. And that night, she had housing for her and her little girl. And the very next day, the morning I met her, she was at a resource center offering her a pathway towards a new life. I was stunned, overwhelmed, grateful to know that the organizations that I was supporting were indeed changing lives. I think of that woman and that beautiful child often, actually more often than I really even realize. And I think of her for so many different reasons. And so, welcome to the first of a 4-part digital series honoring women.
We are talking about women who work hard, often holding down multiple low-paying jobs and still can't make ends meet. women who want to do better for themselves and their families, but who are held back by our high cost of living.
The women who are often invisible.
Women who live paycheck to paycheck in jobs that make our lives easier, but whose earnings do not reflect the reality that they are truly essential to our lives and to our communities. For 20 years, Women United has come together as a group to help these women and their families as they work to build a better future.
Women United members have created big change to improve the outcomes for families in our community. In fact, right before the pandemic hit, we came together as a group with a full day of action throughout Greater Baltimore. This year, we've made it our mission to focus on equity, education, and bridging the digital divide that will have lingering effects beyond the pandemic. We know that with your help, we can do it.
We can't wait to share with you what we've accomplished for so many in 20 years, and we couldn't be more ready for the next 20. Thank you for being here today, and I know that you're going to feel inspired to be a part of our story. Together, we can and will change the world. I know what you're thinking. We can change the world? Isn't that a little lofty? Well, it's not. And all it takes is one action to change the world. For those who may not be familiar, I became involved with the United Way because it's truly about transforming lives and the world. I believe with my whole heart that we are each spiritual beings and we are interconnected. We are interconnected with each other by invisible but strong bonds of love, compassion, and empathy. Your happiness is connected to my happiness. Your pain causes me pain, whether I accept it or agree with it or understand it completely. When we help one another, we create a positive ripple effect that expands from one person to the next, to their family, to their community, across the country and across the world. It's a powerful chain of empathy, caring, love, and connection. Growing up in India, I saw what poverty does to people, to families, the dire positions that it puts them in. Believe it or not, in India, there are no homeless shelters. People are forced to sleep in the outdoors under trees for shelter. There's no proper system in place for those who are struggling to make ends meet. But here in America, there is such a wonderful structured system of philanthropy, and the United Way has played such a pivotal role as the oldest and highly respected, long-standing organization, so effective in this regard. I was deeply attracted to the work of the United Way, all that they do to keep kids in school so that they graduate, to keep families in safe and secure homes that they can afford, to help people find jobs so that they can pay their bills and give them the freedom to live independent and healthy lives. And I love the fact that each of these pieces are so interconnected with each other, because the result, when we combine all of these pieces, all of these programs, is positive, meaningful change that extends from a person to a family to a neighborhood and makes it all the way across the globe, where we touch each other in deep, meaningful ways. By being a part of this chain, by contributing to the well-being and success of others, we are each helping to uplift our world and the world around us. Together, I know that we will continue to grow Women United to be the champions of the causes that we all care about. Being a part of Women United is bigger than any one of us. As a member, you'll meet other women who share our passion for positive change. And I know that you're passionate, or you wouldn't be here today. Let's take a look at some of the things that we have done together.
When we get together as women, I think that there's a belief that we can do anything. I'm so excited that Women United has been a force for good for 20 years, for women, for families, for children. 211 is three things: simple quick link 24/7, barometer of need, and our partner in disaster response. 20 years ago, the idea of easy access to information was a barrier that was this high. And if it weren't for Women United, I don't think we would have as easily been able to bring 211 to this nation and to Maryland. As a force, we lowered the barriers to access for people throughout this country.
Whether your passion is healthcare or workforce development or education, you feel a like-minded connection with the women. They're just so fierce and great and fun, and you lock arms and then you go do it. All of a sudden you're part of the solution.
Women United has really been instrumental in me connecting with other women philanthropists in Central Maryland, being able to see how they juggle career, family, and the commitment to their communities and neighborhoods has been a great experience. I would recommend anyone who's really seeking to define their giving, their volunteerism, I highly recommend that they consider becoming a part of Women United.
Women United is important to me because it's a powerful force about women coming together with love and compassion to help empower our communities that need it the most.
We have a group of women who are collectively and individually passionate about giving their time, their talents, and their resources to forge the improvements of education in our city. We are creating imprints, but we are also creating the footprint of education and the legacy of Women's United.
Everyone in the room is blessed, and blessed with financial resources, blessed with mentorship resources, blessed with a roof over their head and not worrying about where their next meal is coming from. And to just have in the back of your mind that not everyone has that, I think that I would encourage everyone to acknowledge that and to do whatever it is that you can do to make a difference.
Women United makes me feel hopeful for the future. Women United has a saying, where there is a need, women lead the way. Women United, we engage, we listen, and we take action together.
Women United makes me feel that I'm living my purpose in life, to come together for the sake of the community, for doing good and doing well for others. And that's very empowering, that we can make a difference when we truly live Women United.
Again, we're so happy that you're here with us today. And thank you to Wells Fargo, the lead sponsor of the Women's Forum digital series. Now, I'd like to welcome Franklin Baker, President and CEO of the United Way of Central Maryland.
Thank you, Sheila. Good afternoon. I'm Franklin Baker, and together we respond to the most pressing needs here in Greater Baltimore. Women United. Now, this is a powerful group. During this pandemic, they have raised more than $250,000. Yes, $250,000 for our COVID-19 fund. Wow. These dollars are hard at work right now in our community, helping our most vulnerable neighbors, many of whom are working hard every day, but still can't get ahead. They're asset limited, income constrained, and employed, or ALICE, as you'll often hear us say. These people are so essential to our economy. They make it possible for us to navigate our lives every day, and especially during this pandemic. I'm talking about our healthcare workers, our first responders, our grocery store and delivery service employees, our child care providers, our cashiers, and many more. These are all people who are essential to maintaining our infrastructures, but they can't afford the essentials. Every day, they're making decisions that may negatively impact their well-being. Decisions about where they live, what they eat or don't eat, how they get to work, or who cares for their children, and how they manage their health needs and those of their families. A group of United Ways in Maryland, in partnership with Kaiser Permanente, came together to increase awareness of the obstacles so many in our region face to achieving economically stable lives. This series is just one example. We'll be shining a spotlight on the barriers hardworking people face and that we are actively breaking down by promoting equity and creating opportunity. I and my entire team celebrate the more than 1,400 members of Women United and all of you who are supporting our work by joining us today. This is a movement that will require energy, persistence, and hard work, and I know that women are the right leaders to do it. Those leaders include our Women's Forum co-chairs, Patty Brown and Sheila Murthy, the Women's Forum Committee, and all the members of our Women United group. On behalf of United Way and those we humbly serve, thank you for your dedication, commitment, and support of this event. I want to now take a moment to introduce Kendra Parlock, Executive Director of Empower, which connects Baltimore's young adults to IT career success. Kendra will be leading a discussion with our founding members of Women United. Kendra?
Thank you, Franklin. I am Kendra Parlock, and together we narrow the digital divide. As a nonprofit tech talent pipeline serving the Baltimore region, we were devastated by the impact of the pandemic on the trainees and the business community. Potentially a vital aspect of the program, the paid internship could not be honored due to the hiring freezes and hiring delays with some of our corporate partners. And this opportunity for paid professional work experience is not just a job for our trainees, but an early step on the path to a career and economic mobility. Empower is so thankful for the support of the United Way and the Baltimore Community Foundation and the Learner Family Foundation for funding our work to employ Baltimore youth. With this funding for project-based tech internships for nonprofits transitioning to the new normal, 5 Empower interns were placed at 3 nonprofit partners, KIP Baltimore, the No Boundaries Coalition, and Project Waves, all who share a similar vision on how to end the digital divide. Our interns worked hard to expand internet access in underserved communities with Project Waves and worked on some amazing projects with the other partners. These internships not only provided jobs, but also hope and filled a need in addressing the digital divide that has been more exposed due to COVID. These young people are on their way to successful careers in tech and are joining the 21 trainees Empower was able to place during the pandemic. Thank you, United Way, for your support in this success. When I joined Women United, I wasn't sure what to expect. I can tell you that my experience has been amazing and has far exceeded my expectations. I met incredible women, women who actively mentored me, women who connected me with opportunities, women who helped me build powerful relationships. And through it all, I discovered something. I'm a philanthropist. I knew that I believed in doing good and helping others and using gifts of my time and finances to support those who needed it more than me. But in joining with this group of women, I found a like-minded group of change makers who helped me embrace my role as a philanthropist. I am honored to be a member of Women United and to be here today with three of the original members of Women United. Together with 46 other trailblazing women, they founded this movement 20 years ago. I am honored to introduce Jacqueline Hrabowski, Patricia P.J. Mitchell, and Mary Louise Price. Take us back to 2000 when the Women United group was established. Why was it necessary to create this group? What did you feel needed to be changed in our world?
I think what needed to be changed was a kind of a recognition that women were as strong as they had become over the last 10 to 15 years. By 2000, women were quite involved in business, finance, had big jobs, good jobs, and we're taking a lot of leadership roles, but really no one was asking us independently, individually for money. Generally, it was the men who in their offices agreed, and then that was sort of a family gift. So I think it was time for women to sort of take their place at the table, be a little more visible, be a little more involved in their own way. And I think once the men began to ask us and we began to give the money, perhaps they were even a little bit shocked, but it was a wonderful way for women to become more involved, new leaders, different kind of leaders for United Way, and subsequently for a lot of other organizations, I think. It was just time. We were already there, but we needed to stand up and be counted.
Awesome. What opportunities did you see?
I think the opportunities were for us to be more understanding of the world around us, even though we'd spent a lot of time promoting our own careers and being involved in major issues, both in government, politics, business, finance. There's not often a lot of opportunity to learn some more about what's really going on around you in all the communities. So I think that was an opportunity many of us really relished. And we also relished knowing each other. We were all from many of us were from very different backgrounds, new to Baltimore, not new to Baltimore. We had different understandings of the world around us and not very many opportunities to become acquainted and involved. And we also got to know each other. So we knew more people in more areas and found that we really created a lot of friendships around it, that we could really move together as an organization faster and better.
And to add to that, Mary Louise, I think that we didn't necessarily see ourselves as philanthropists at the time, but as women, we just have this natural inclination, I think, to want to do more, to be involved, to understand the impact of our dollars. We want to be able to kind of kick the tires and look under the hood and to see where our dollars are going and how they are helping and supporting our communities. And so I really thank you and PJ and Melanie Sablehouse for having the vision to understand that when women, get together and support a cause, we're a powerful force. And so in stepping up to the plate, we found that when we asked other people, other women, to be a part of this effort, they did. So the time, as you say, Mary Louise, was correct. It was right on time for us to kind of galvanize what we were already doing in our community, but to do it under the auspices of what we believed was important for us to be engaged in.
So building on that, PJ, what planted the idea that this group was a good thing to do?
So what we were seeing at the time was a dramatic shift in women's leadership and women's philanthropy. The old paradigm was for the Tocqueville Society, which started in 1988 in Central Maryland, but for the United Way overall, the Tocqueville chair, the campaign chair, the board chair, and most of the board members were all men from the business community. Women, not exclusively, but primarily were as volunteers with their time and talent. So the new paradigm, which was emerging in the late 1990s, early 2000s, had two specific trends. One, if you think about throughout history, women have been the drivers of social change in the community. As far back as the 1700s, you saw relief societies for the immigrants. In the 1800s, you saw the settlement houses to support women and children. And in the 1900s, you started to see the first women's giving circles. So I would call all of those women philanthropists in that they donated their time and their talent. But trend number two, which was emerging in the 1990s, as Mary Louise mentioned, women had achieved the highest levels in all of their fields. And now, even though there were still pay differentials, women had unprecedented earning power. Women also controlled 51% of the wealth on the New York Stock Exchange. Women-owned businesses were the fastest growing sector of the US economy, with women owning 40% of all businesses, employing 24 million people, and generating $3 trillion in revenue. And women controlled 85% of consumer spending. And ladies, it just couldn't all be shoes.
That was Melanie's great line.
So because women live 7 years longer than men, at that time, and still today, women are poised to receive the majority of the wealth that will transfer from generation to generation over the next 20 years, estimated at about $150 trillion. So now women were perfectly positioned to support the causes they were passionate about with a fully economically empowered leadership philanthropy model. However, the old paradigm still dictated that men were asked for the predominant number of philanthropic gifts. So to really leverage this new paradigm, women had to be asked to give. Women had to be invited to the table for their leadership and their philanthropy. In more current terms, women needed to be invited into the room where it happened. The United Way was smart enough to recognize and embrace this new paradigm, and the United Way of Central Maryland were among the first to tap and unleash this power of women as leaders and philanthropists, and was also very prominent in establishing the national efforts as well.
Thank you, PJ, for giving us that data and framing the scope for the background. Jackie, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Why was this the right thing to do at the time?
As they both have mentioned, I think that there's something unique about women when we think about philanthropy. One thing is that we don't necessarily consider ourselves or thought of ourselves as philanthropists, because generally that means, in the normal sense of things, the huge giving of monies. We do indeed support with our dollars, but women have this kind of unique inclination to want to give, but give with our hearts, with our time, with our energy, and with just general acts of kindness. And so through our involvement with United Way already, we were already engaged in these kinds of things, but there's something about women who are empowered when they collectively put their minds together around a certain vision or mission for what it is that we want to accomplish and support in our communities. And so I think the time kind of helped to galvanize that spirit where women can work together, come together for a purpose to make a difference. And as Mary Louise and PJ have said, you know, the time was right 20 years ago, and it's still right for all of us to be involved.
I just want to mention one other thing, and that is, I'm recalling right now as we're talking that we talked a lot as a group at our meetings, small meetings, planning meetings, whatever, about exactly what you're saying, Jackie, that we all felt like we had always wanted to help, But as a group, we could really be a change agent, a group change agent and individually change agents. And that's where women were at the time. We weren't willing to just be the helpers. We wanted to really feel the change. And I think that's another thing that gave a lot of dynamism to the whole process. We felt like we were actually doing more together than we could have done separately.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Louise. Can you tell me a little bit why you think women are such effective philanthropists? Over the years, what barriers specifically have female philanthropists faced?
I think that women in general are effective in roles as philanthropists because it just comes naturally to us to want to make a difference. We tend to be more, and studies will show that, more engaged in volunteer efforts in our communities. We are parts of organizations that donate to worthy causes. And our approach to giving is more than just kind of writing a check. It is trying to understand what the underlying causes are and to make sure that the donations or the dollars that we give are having the intended impact. And so it is through our kind of collective efforts when we investigate and analyze and put our heads and thoughts together about what's important to us as women, what's important to families, what's important to children, that we're able to galvanize and bring other women into the fold. And so I think that was the point at which, we were able to bring this organization into fruition. And surprisingly, when you ask people to be a part of it, they step up to the plate. And so we're very grateful for that.
Yes, yes, we do. PJ, can you tell us about the spinoff of women's groups throughout our region?
Sure. The success of the United Way Women's Initiative, later the Women's Leadership Council, and now Women United really demonstrated the power of women to make an impact with their leadership, their advocacy, their philanthropy, and others have followed. Just as a little background, in the first 5 years for the United Way of Central Maryland, the Women United grew from 15 members to 100 members, and the contributions grew exponentially, 650% to $1 million. At the women's leadership level, similarly, there are 2,100 members raising $3 million to address the needs in the community. And so today we have 1,400 members, leadership and Tocqueville, generating $4 million annually. And since inception, $77 million to help those most vulnerable in the region. So this exponential growth really did inspire other service organizations to tap into what I call the new paradigm. The American Red Cross, for instance, started the Tiffany Circle. Now, coincidentally, maybe there's no cause and effect, but Melanie Sablehouse, who was one of our founding members, at the time happened to be the vice chair of the American Red Cross National Board. So there may be a relationship there. I don't know. Somebody else can figure that out. But that Tiffany Circle has gone on to do great things for the American Red Cross. And likewise, the American Heart Association has a very vibrant program called Go Red for Women. So I think the Women United started it, but others saw that it was really helpful to their cause as well.
Moving on, what event motivated you to be such an active philanthropist?
The fact that, we all are products of our environment. And so I recall growing up in rural, segregated Virginia, just seeing my parents being actively involved in giving back and supporting the community. In fact, we seem to be the kind of dewdrop in for everybody who needed anything. And my parents were always willing to kind of be there to fix things, to take people, pay places, to give them food, to pay rent, whatever the case. And I was always tagging along. And it was just kind of in the DNA. That's what you're supposed to do. Except when I became a teenager, you know how teenagers can be. So I kind of rebelled and said, to my dad, why do we have to be the ones who are always kind of giving back and helping people out and doing things for people? I kind of felt that we were kind of being used. My dad, in his calm nature, kind of looked at me and he said very quietly and forcefully, because we can, because we can. And so that was one of the first lessons, I guess, I learned about giving and what it means to give, having the ability to give because we can. And the expression, to whom much is given, much is required, has been kind of my mantra. You just step in and do what you can. And when we all do that, the world is a much better place.
So now a shift to impact stories. Tell us about a memorable moment of impact with United Way.
I remember so vividly when we all went to Capitol Hill to advocate and talk to Congress people, senators and representatives in support of the 211 legislation. And this was a national event. So women from across the country all descended on Washington to show support and ask for support. And we had some wonderful people join us. We met with Senator Mikulski. We met with Elaine Chao and Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson at the time. And it really was a powerful day that I remember vividly.
I remember that too. And I would also say that we didn't just meet with the women, but it was quite rewarding to see our own out there doing the kind of work they were doing and the respect that they were being given by their peers for their work, because really that only started happening later on in the 20th century.
So this question is for all of you. As 20-year members of Women United, what's one word or phrase that describes your experience?
My word is BHAG. Back in 2000, we didn't set bold goals. We set big, hairy, audacious goals. And then we exceeded them. I already mentioned the exponential growth for the Women United in Central Maryland, but the same holds true nationally. In 2004, we set a 5-year goal to achieve $105 million across the country in the year. And I'm happy to say we exceeded that goal in 3 years. We reached that level very quickly. And today we have 75,000 women across the country raising $190 million every year to help their own communities. And just because it's such an astounding number, Women United nationally has raised over $1.5 billion since its inception. Now, I call that a BHAR, a big, hairy, audacious result.
Yes, 1.5 billion.
Well, I could top that, but I don't have a one word that would describe my experiences, but I do recall with my long tenure, I guess, in work with the United Way, when my husband Freeman and I chaired the United Way campaign, and I think 2002 or whatever, we went out to so many organizations to talk with them about the importance of giving back and supporting the community. And so our theme was, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? And so that's a phrase that I think we use to kind of galvanize folks to say, you're a part of this. We need your support. You need to be involved. And to make a difference in the community, we need everybody to be on board. So that's the phrase that I remember.
Thank you, Jackie.
And I think my comment would be a lot more simple. I think For me personally, it's been a very satisfying result. So satisfaction in friendships, in making a difference, in being a change agent. It just enriches my life hugely, way more I feel I've received than I've given.
And Mary Louise, do you have one word that describes why you chose to?
Is this the name of a song, Satisfaction?
I love it. Yeah, so we have BHAG, we have if not now, then when, and we have satisfaction. Love it.
Whatever.
Jackie, Mary Louise, PJ, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your talent and treasure.
It was great to reminisce and loved hearing what you guys had to say. That's great.
It's a pleasure. It's great to reconnect.
Indeed. Thank you, Kendra. You wonderful moderation of this event.
Yes.
Thank you. So much fun. It's like being a fly on the wall. So thank you for creating a platform for women to step onto and step up, and for lifting other women up with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendra, and our founding members for sharing such interesting stories about how Women United came into being. Your vision, your tenacity, and your action are what have brought us here today. What started with just 46 women in 2000 has grown to more than 1,400 women who contribute more than $2 million each year to support our United Way's work. And we've done it all together. These women lend their considerable expertise to strengthening our communities, and I'd like to introduce you to three of them. Christina Block, Product Manager at T. Rowe Price. Erin Lazard, Director of Development and External Affairs, Knowledge is Power Program, and Alicia Wilson, Vice President for Economic Development at the Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Health System. These influential women are the next generation of leaders in our community, and we're so pleased that they can join us today. We asked the last group of women to flash back to 2000, but let's fast forward now. Alicia, thinking about today and the future, why is it so crucial to lift women?
It is crucial for you to lift women because women by their very nature look to empower others. So when we think about how do we lift all segments of our community, women have to be at the forefront.
Thank you, Alicia. Christina, knowing the hardships that so many hardworking women encounter, what do you think needs to change in our community to break down the barriers they face?
Great question, Sheila. Barriers that women face in our community start with accessibility, providing programs, providing platforms, providing opportunities for women to succeed in our Baltimore neighborhoods, in our surrounding counties, both professionally and personally, will only help drive the change that we seek to have in this environment that we're in today.
Thank you, Christina. Next, Erin, why did you want to work with United Way? What has the affiliation made possible for you?
Thanks, Sheila. So I work in the education space, and I have found that working with United Way has given me a much clearer picture of the complex issues that affect all the families and children that I work with, because we know that there's none of the issues that United Way focuses on lives in a vacuum. None of them work in a silo. They're all very interconnected. And so the solutions also have to be interconnected. So that's really helped me to better understand the context in which, frankly, I work. It's also given me more tools to share with families that I work with. And personally, I went to a women's college, and I didn't realize until the last couple of years how much I had missed that camaraderie. That I think, as Alicia mentioned, there is something really special about how women lift each other up, and working with the education committee and the other members of United Way, Women United it's been that kind of camaraderie and fellowship I've really been missing.
Thank you, Erin.
So one thing to add to Erin, my journey with United Way began about 10 years ago. And originally it was a line item. I participated in my company's work giving campaign. It wasn't until I joined Women's United 6 years ago that the impact that my dollars became more personal to me. I got to see where the dollars were going. I got to participate in programs, meet amazing women through the various events that we had, and really see the impact that United Way of Central Maryland is making in Baltimore and the surrounding counties.
Thank you, Christina. Alicia, what do you want to see Women United accomplish in the next 20 years?
What I want to see Women United accomplish in the next 20 years is to really demonstrate how much more we can do united rather than individually. Women are always about doing great things on their own. But when we really come together, that's when we can drive impact for our community in a much greater way.
Perfect, makes sense. Thank you, Alicia. So Erin, if you had to complete this sentence, we are Women United.
We are not afraid of the future, because we are going to work together to build the future that we and our families and our community deserves.
We are women who empower, who thrive and grow individually and collectively.
We are Women United. We join together to create a diverse and collective group to ignite change.
Thank you. That sounds awesome. As I said, we are Women United. We are awesome. We rock. We change the world. So thank you to each of you for those wonderful answers. Christina, tell us about a memorable moment that you've experienced with the United Way.
Absolutely. I recently had the opportunity to speak with children at Marie G. Faring Elementary Middle School and United Way's On Track for Success program. During this time, I discussed their favorite subject, what they wanted to be when they grew up, and how they can improve their report card from the prior quarter. What I learned most and the biggest impact and takeaway from that day was really focused on the challenges and barriers they face outside of school. For example, some of the challenges and barriers these children face include transportation, as well as additional responsibilities outside of school, such as taking care of younger siblings. This impacts their ability to be successful in school, whether it's attendance, whether it's turning in homework on time. So these are the things that I see United Way of Central Maryland trying to come together to find solutions to help these children be successful in their academics.
And to speak to Christina's specific experience, I remember when she was at Marie Faring, because at the time I was part of that school team. And one of the things I think about the programs that we're working with at United Way, the On Track for Success program, for example, is that not only was Christina able to connect with a student, but the work that she and the student do also make a huge difference for the teachers and the practitioners. So it's sort of this innovative, full picture approach that I think that has been really, I think most impressive to me about United Way's approach. It's, you know, the innovation, but also the sort of holistic thinking about how we're solving problems. I really appreciate what Christina was saying and the time that she was able to spend with the students.
I was amazed how the students talking to a stranger for 8 minutes, they wanted their voice heard. They needed a platform to be able to share some of the challenges in a setting that they felt safe. So I definitely took away so much more than I ever realized.
Wonderful. So Alicia, if I can go to you next, when and how do you use your influence and that of others in your life?
I try to use my influence in those rooms that people haven't entered, in those calls that people aren't on, in those places where people can't even think about even existing in, to really try to move the needle for them. And so I think about life as a series of critical moments. And at those moments, you need someone to use their influence to make things happen. And that's what I try to do with my influence for others.
Alicia, that was a really cool answer. So who is someone everyone should know?
Someone everyone should know is Sheila Murthy. She possesses all the qualities of a woman who gives and lives a life not just of success, but of significance. She uses her resources to be a blessing to others and really encapsulates what it means to be a woman united and doing good in this world.
Thank you, Alicia. That is incredibly kind of you. But in fact, the truth is that I get energy and inspiration from each and every woman that I meet. And the women through Women United have been rock stars and support. And watching you and observing you shine your bright light has been such an inspiration, I'm sure, to so many women. So it's great that we all influence each other in such fabulous ways. So Erin, if I can go to you, which influencers are worth the follow and what do you get from them?
I'm less of a follower and more of a follow-upper. So I am someone who, when I hear someone's voice, whether it's a Sheila or Alicia or a Christina out in the world or in an event like this, and something they say really strikes a chord with me, I make a point to follow up and try to build a real connection with that person, maybe so that we can build something together, or maybe so that I can get a little bit of wisdom, or maybe so that eventually I can pass something on to the next person. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Erin. What about you, Christina?
Who are the influencers that I follow? The next generation of Women United. They'll bring new ideas to the table. They'll bring a new sense of energy and direction, and they will continue the cause Women United are here today fighting for.
Thank you, Christina. What about you, Alicia?
Well, I follow a blend of people who are both local and national. So I follow people like Jackie Rabowski and Susan Leviton and Lois Feinblatt and Ava Booker, but I also follow Oprah and Melody Hobson and Carla Harris. They're just givers, and you can tell that they care deeply about their community and are using their resources to help others. So those are the people I follow.
I am so inspired and energized by this discussion. Thank you, Christina, Erin, and Alicia, for your time and your commitment to Greater Baltimore.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope to see everyone soon.
So I leave you with this. Take that one action, that one step that will trigger this reaction and change our world. That's a wrap on session 1 of our 4-part digital series. Thank you to everyone who shared with us today, and thank you for joining us. Together, I know that we will accomplish great things to help women and families right here in Greater Baltimore. Next week, we will participate in the very illuminating session that will have you thinking deeply about structural inequity in America. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to register. Until then, continue to be a force for good. Thank you.
Join us on October 8th for an immersive crash course on structural inequality. We'll be talking about race, class, gender, faith, sexual orientation, age, and ability-based discrimination. We'll also talk about redlining as well as prison disparities, the healthcare system inclusive of mental health, gender pay gaps, racial pay gaps, education inequity, and intersectionality. It's all the facts, all the feels, and all on October 8th. See you then.